Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is a hot one. I mean, it's like what, 90 degrees or something crazy here on a Sunday afternoon towards the end of July. And trying to process slowing down. I mean, the heat will do that to you. But, I mean, thinking about like all of the different hats that I wear, all the different lanes that I run in, and trying to make sure that I am being like submitted and obedient to God in just the way that I roll and the way that I do life. And I'm recognizing some places where I just go and I just do, and in some regards, it's a good way to continue to make sure that I am not um, staying complacent and make sure that I'm not um, ignoring direction of the Lord. But at the same time, as I just move too fast, I miss out on places where God might be calling me to rest or turning my direction. So, trying to slow down enough to hear. And I think one of the places where I've been hearing God speak recently is calling me to more of a monastic life. Let's see if I can set this camera down at all. Let's see if that'll work. Nope, that won't work. But this idea of a new monasticism as I embrace a new priesthood that God's called all of his people to. It just comes along with a practice of the presence of God that I'm not excelling in right now. And not that I don't feel his presence. And this is really hot. I wonder if I turn this way, at least I won't be staring directly in the sun. That's a little better. Maybe not better for y'all, but yeah, but I think not that I'm not feeling his presence. I'm experiencing his presence. But there's a slowness that I'm missing out on. Hey, Cleo. Yeah, you can't come out here, sweetie. And yeah, there's a slowness that I'm missing out on that um, in that slowness, like you experience joy at a new level. She's going crazy right there. You experience joy at a new level. You experience peace at another level. And then when he moves, it's so much clearer. That's it. Like as I'm moving so frantically, um, I think it's harder to see God's movement. It's like if you are speeding down an expressway and then God comes in. Okay, I'm mixing the metaphors. If you're speeding down an expressway and then another car is coming off of the on ramp, and merging into the expressway, um, you don't notice them as much if you're moving quickly. But if you're slow and then this car is coming in hot, it's really easy to see. But even if you're going slow and the car's coming in slow, or maybe better metaphor is if a truck is coming in slow, you see it. And like I feel like God's like that truck, and I need to be going slow enough on the expressway of life to really be able to see Him move, so that I can then make my moves accordingly. Yeah. So what does that look like to slow down on the expressway for me? So let me kind of unravel that a bit. So what are the things right now that I feel like I should be doing? And by I should, not meaning like these are good ideas, but like these are God ideas. Like, those are the only things that are real shoulds. What are the things where God's actually saying, yeah, you need to do this? I think one of those is the Five by the Fire podcast. I feel like that has been going great. There's two things that have been consistently great for me. That has been the weekly prayer with my staff and the daily podcast. And both of those are encouraging me. One encourages me in the Word. The other one encourages me in fellowship and prayer. So those I need to continue. I need to continue to be intentional in discipleship. And I think what I need to do is like refine who my dozen is. Because I can get kind of like all over the place. And like, if I can get clear on who the 10 to 12 are that I need to be intentionally pouring myself into right now, then I feel like everything else needs to play background to that. So those being the prayer, the podcast, and the discipling people. Those, I think, are the rocks. Like, those are the big rocks. You know, if you're like trying to fill a jar and you've got big rocks, you've got little pebbles, and you've got sand. If you make the mistake of putting the sand in first, you won't be able to get in all the rocks and all the pebbles. But if you put the big rocks in first, then you put in the little pebbles, they'll find their spots in between those big rocks and they'll get in. Then you put the sand in, they'll find even more space and they'll find it. And you can find the most likely, you can get all that in. But you got to put the big rocks first. Big priorities first. So my big rocks is prayer with the staff, the podcast, daily podcasts, and which I'm excited that I've gone to video with that. I think I've actually been able to reach, like 10 times as many people now with the podcast now. So it's good. And then, the people that I'm called a disciple. So then now let me think, what are some of the pebbles? So, it's not that they're not priorities, but I think the programmatic things that I do that are important towards the mission of Unshackled Network, like the microchurch that I lead. Now, technically, that microchurch will fall under the dozen that I feel called to. Those that are in it, I believe, are part of my dozen. So there's that. But, the direction of the microchurch, Kingdom Justice Project, I was going to say tribe, which is the leaders of the networks, of the microchurches, but they're also part of my dozen. So I'm seeing that there's overlap here. Yeah, so that's good. So that's helping me see where I'm actually hitting the mark that I need to be. And then there's beyond that. Oh man, see, I just failed. But I didn't have in my head for my dozen, it's my family. Like, they should be the first 3 of my dozen. And I feel like, having said that, now I gotta look at the numbers, because I might be beyond the number that's actually healthy and able to make happen. So that's why it's important that I gotta refine that. So maybe my next mind dump will be me going through the dozen, if I share that much information. Yeah, yeah. I think that's actually where I need to go now. Is thinking about the family first. As you can see, my mind doesn't go there first, and that's a problem. That is a problem. And I think that's probably why God right now is calling me to slow down. Because I've got all these passions and all these projects and all these priorities that try to take over. So I need to look into that. Well, some of the other things that I think I need to keep doing. Good Dad, Bad Dad podcast. I think we just need to be consistent with that. We're rocking out bi-weekly. It's not too hard. Probably takes me an hour to record and an hour to edit. And that's something that I'm going to be leaning on Layla more and more to do, the editing. So that's good. Pastor Fury show. I think that'll be a thing that'll be a fun way to highlight all the other places where God's making things happen, like the podcasts and things in the network. Triads, which is my bi-weekly discipleship group. I'm wondering about that one lately. It's been great, but lately the heat seems to have gone down for everybody, and we haven't been intentional about consistently doing our thing. So I need to pray on that one. That still feels like one of those pebbles. And yeah, see, I'm in a class right now on entrepreneurship, and I feel like I should do it. Like, I feel like it would be good for me to finish it, but I don't know that I'm supposed to. Like, I don't know that it's something that God's actually calling me to. I feel like it could bear a lot of fruit for the Unshackled Network and for Freedom Story Media, but I don't think I'm supposed to finish it. I don't know that I have the capacity right now to give it what it needs in order to go well. I gotta pray on that one. Yeah. And as I look at my calendar, I think it's going well. Like, it's not as stacked as I emotionally feel like it is. And I think the reason I emotionally feel like it's so stacked is because emotionally I'm not submitted. I'm just inside. So then I feel so like a whirlwind about everything. So where am I not submitted? Like, what do I need to give God that I haven't? Because I feel it. Like, I feel unsubmitted, but I can't pinpoint like where I'm in disobedience or where I'm just doing me and not submitting to Him. And maybe my feelings are wrong, right? You shouldn't let your heart and your emotions lead, but I get this sense. It's a lack of peace. That's why I feel unsubmitted. Because recently I've been lacking peace for like the past. Actually, ever since I came back from sabbatical, I've been lacking peace. Why? Not sure. Interesting. I feel like usually in my out loud ramblings I reach some sort of conclusion with the Lord. But at least I've the conclusion I've made it to is the places that I need to be prayerful about. So, A, be praying that my family would make it into the category of the big rocks emotionally for me and calendar-wise. B, need to be praying about that entrepreneurship class, the oceans class. C, need to be praying about the discipleship triads and what's going on there. And D, need to be praying about the Kingdom Justice Project and what's next there. And lastly, but also really more importantly, I need to be praying about why I'm lacking peace. Where am I unsubmitted? Where maybe I'm in disobedience? I don't know. I don't know. But I know this. That was all probably too much information.